Hello, welcome to my channel Conscious Growing. I'm Matthias. Welcome to today's video. And in today's video I want to ask the question, how is my relationship to my symptoms? And that's a really deep question and I will come to it now. So if you're someone who is struggling with chronic symptoms for a while now, you probably already heard about the body-mind concept or concepts. And what's mentioned again and again is the idea that your symptoms are caused by suppressed emotions, all kind of suppressed emotions. And these suppressed emotions, they usually were built up in childhood. We all made traumatic experiences. We build up unhealthy patterns, such as people pleasers and achievers. And we try to be the good boy or the good girl, supporting our parents, and so on and so on. And on purpose, I don't go in any details here. So when you experience these kinds of chronic symptoms and you have ruled out all the symptoms by your doctors and you're still hanging in there and just wondering why you feel so upset, why do you have these crazy symptoms for so long now and you don't have a clue why is it getting better, and probably you have tried a lot of things already to get better, and or maybe you try to fix your symptoms and had some protocols in the past and nothing really worked. And I think it's quite likely the more you're on this path, you realize that everything you experience is always related to strong emotions. And in the past, we haven't been able to process them. And what do I mean by process? I mean to simply allow them. And so what happens here is when you have chronic symptoms, you might think for a long while that the symptoms are the problem. So in other words, when you think the symptoms are the problem, then the solution is I just have to get rid of my symptoms. I just have to get rid of my pains, and then I can continue to live the life I always was looking for. And I just need this cure or this one protocol that helps me to solve it. And from my perspective, this won't never work. So there might be some treatments and some protocols out there that help to relieve some pain for sure. But I would say if you don't heal the root cause, these symptoms and these emotions, they will always come back. And it's very simple explained, because the symptoms are just a manifestation in the body, but under this manifestation, these symptoms are related to emotions, all kind of emotions. And that's why you experience strong fear, anxiety, and also sadness and grief and anger, all these strong emotions. And as long as you try to get rid of your symptoms, and even furthermore you are ruled by your symptoms, you can end up in a really, really unpleasant cycle of anxiety, hopelessness, despair, all these kind of strong states we can end up. And I just want to shed a little bit of light to this whole situation. So from what I experienced in these last 2 years, I can share that it was very necessary to turn my attention away from the symptoms, to let the symptoms be there as they are, and not trying to change anything about these symptoms. But there, on the other hand, to have a look on my emotions on a daily basis. And when I look at my emotions, I learned that strong emotions came up in these last few months, especially in this last few months. And there was lots of anger, and there was also anxiety in my system. And you can come to stages where you see a threat in everything, and this hinders you to do things in the outside world, for example. So, in other words, these symptoms of anxiety and these symptoms, these strong emotions, they are now manifested in the system, in the body. And when they don't get out, when they're not processed, we keep stuck in our situations, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so part of the vicious cycle is then that you have these strong emotions, you have these strong symptoms, and you avoid to go out, you avoid to do things, and because you're scared of your symptoms, because it's so strong and your emotions could change immediately and the pain gets stronger when you get out. And so you have no or little trust in your own system on a physical, on an emotional and mental level. But once you understand and see that your attention should not be on getting rid of your symptoms and solve anything from there, but to have a closer look to the underlying emotions. And once you come to this stage of recovery, where you are aware that this is the only thing that needs some attention, then you can start a deeper healing process. And I just want to share a very practical approach to this whole thing, and not to make a big thing out of it. I mean, yes, it can feel scary, it can feel very unpleasant at times, but instead of staying in this cycle of being afraid and avoid yourself and being caught in your own negative thoughts and your own thought patterns, it's time to have a closer look and to allow yourself to feel these emotions. And if you feel strong enough to do it without therapist or any kind of support, I highly believe that this is possible. And so this is how I did it without medication the whole way, and also without therapist. But of course, it's a tough journey and it's a tough thing to go through in some days and some periods. But one of the very important things is that most of the times, we are the ones who make it more severe, and because we are caught up in these old patterns of anxiety and fear about the symptoms and the states we are in. So, okay, the very practical approach I just mentioned is to give yourself some time along the day. For example, when symptoms are more intense, stop yourself and don't um, try to distract yourself too much. Rather than find some time for yourself, listen inwardly, and just ask yourself, what is my current emotion? And then you will easily see that underneath your physical pain or your unpleasant psychological states, you will feel some emotions. And now you can allow this emotion to be there. And just ask yourself, just feel inside, what is the emotion right now? So let's take the example of anger. There might be old anger in you, or there might be some anger caused in a current situation, but then of course it's your type of anger, your old anger that resonates with this. And please understand that while you're in these hypersensitized states, everything feels more intense. The emotions, they feel more intense. And the pain feels more intense. I was talking about this in the last video. But for today, I just want to encourage you to have a look to the very sensation, the very emotion, the anger. So, and then you can start to be curious. Where is the anger in your body? You can locate it, and then you can just allow it to be there. And then, and this is what I experienced recently, was to take my hands and put my hands on that place where the anger is in my body. And I'm just kind of meeting the anger, allowing the anger to be there, even on this physical level. So I don't need to push with my hands. I'm just gently meeting the anger in the physical body and just allow it to be there. You know, I don't know if these hands are needed, but it's just what I did, and it helped me to do it. And then you just meet the anger. Say, okay, anger, you're allowed to be here right now. And when you do this for a few moments, you immediately will see that there's a change. And the changes can be various. For example, there's something that quiets down immediately. And in some cases, it might get worse in the beginning. So there's an easy explanation for this, because this part probably was never allowed to be there in your childhood, and of course not in your adult life. That's why it's there, that's why it's stuck in the system. And when you're able to give space to this sensation, and just as explained and showed, you can take your hands and you can have a conversation if you want. But from my point of view, make it as simple as possible. Don't make a big story out of it. We don't want to initiate a new drama, but just this mental state of, I'm the adult now, I have the consciousness now, I am able to meet my old pains. This is enough. And so what we don't want to do is to make a story out of it. You don't need to go in the past. You don't need to dig in the past and find solutions and think when you find this very moment where it all happened, then you are cured. I don't believe in this. The only thing I believe is in that the emotions come back now, and while they come back now, we have the opportunity to nourish them, to meet them, to transform them, and showing that we are not afraid anymore, and showing that we are generous, and we're showing that we can give space to this very emotion we always avoided. And then it might happen that tears come. For example, I can share here, whenever I was able to allow the anger in me, and I gave space and attention to the anger, then usually soon after I started to cry. And that was a sign that, that this, so to speak, little boy was trying to be tough his whole life, and so he used anger to protect himself and so on. And now this anger is allowed. And now I am the very one who allows the anger. And in this moment, tears can be such a relief. And these tears are processing this anger. I'm sure about it. And this needs some repetition. So in other words, give yourself some times along the day. Learn to stay with these unpleasant emotions. And in the example I just gave, it was a very clear emotion. Sometimes when you start this inner work, you might not identify immediately what's going on, because sometimes the states we are in can be really weird, symptoms can be weird, and as weird the symptoms are, these emotions can be really weird as well, and not easy to detect in the beginning. But with some time and patience and some courage, you will learn and be able to meet these emotions. And so for many of us, there's a big question mark about how to process them. So I just gave the example of when tears come spontaneously without any force, when it just happens naturally. Of course, that's a very good example and possibility to process it and just to allow it as long as it takes. Yeah, because sometimes we come to meet these unpleasant states, these unpleasant emotions, some tears come, and then we think, okay, I'm done, so what's next? So what's on TV or so on? Or I'm destroying myself or something. And Of course, you don't need to sit for hours each day, but learn to be the one who really takes care and stay a little bit longer, stay for a while longer, and be with yourself in these emotions and see if there are more tears to come without forcing anything. And other opportunities are, of course, to be creative with them. So if you are a painter or if you have the impulse to paint, um, any kind of art is always a great opportunity to see, okay, I'm in this state now, I'm in the state of rage, anger, sadness, whatever it is. And of course, when you start to paint a picture, you can process these emotions into the very thing. This is another opportunity. And there are many more, but from my side, I would say the main thing is really to listen in, to nourish your states, and do it on a daily basis. Because what I experienced, I did this work, I did it for a day, I did it for 2 days, I felt relief, and then the pattern came back. And then I was upset about it. I was thinking, no, I did a good job the last 2 days. Why is it here again? Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to understand it. It comes as often as it needs to come. Don't set any timeline. It just happens as it is. And so therefore, the best thing is to do it on a regular basis, because then your nervous system gets used to it, and it gets used that you give a careful, nourishing attention. And this is a very important part of healing. And this is what you can do on your own. You don't need anyone for this. And anyway, this is the work that has to happen. We have to process it. We have to learn to allow it. And then with more space and relief in the system, you will start to have more interest in other things again. So you don't have to push through your symptoms, sorry. You just process these emotions whenever they come, and you even can check in with yourself when the symptoms are low, when there are no symptoms, or when you don't feel the need. Even do it then and just see. And even if you just confirm for yourself, I'm pretty okay right now. I have no resistance in me. And with this kind of state, you are able to do things and enjoy life more and decide to, okay, I go out in the park now and have a nice afternoon, or I meet a friend, or whatever it is. So this very allowing of the underlying emotions will free you from your symptoms with time. And so we don't wait the symptoms to go or to vanish, or the hope that we wake up one morning and all the symptoms have gone. This might happen to some people, absolutely possible, but the symptoms go when you are not afraid anymore, when you're not scared anymore, and when you allow the stored emotions to be there. And when these emotions leave us, then interest in life comes back naturally. This is really important. So, this is it for today, and I hope you find it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you are interested in more content like this. thumb up, and please leave a comment if you have any questions. And yeah, and also I mentioned in the last video, I feel like I'm on a new level on my recovery, and I collected so much knowledge about recovery, and that's why I want to offer anyone who struggles and needs some help out there to contact me. And you find my webpage on this side. Just send a message and I can come back to you and we can sort something out together. And yeah, all in all, I hope that you can use this video to have a closer look to yourself, and it might be a keystone to your recovery. And I wish you a good day, and we talk soon. Bye.